good evening. I'm very happy to have this chance to present this series of teaching by Khenpo Sodargye. The serial title will be called the Diamond Cutter Sutra, which is actually the same Diamond Sutra. And my name is Fan Smith. So in this illusory world, I'm a biomedical professor, but I have been following Khenpo Sodargye for 9 years now. So I have been gained great benefit from his teaching. So I'd like to share more with everyone. So as you can see, this is the book we're going to study in this series, and the actual title is called The Diamond Cutter Sutra, a commentary by Dzogchen master Khenpo Sodargye. Dzogchen means great perfection. It's a very advanced Tibetan Buddhism practicing method. So our master, Khenpo Sodargye, is one of the most influential Buddhist monk in China. So this is him. On the right side is the Five Science Buddhist Academy, which is located in China in a very remote area, Tibetan area, which is actually in Sichuan province. Each of these little specks is actually a little house living with monks and the nuns living in there. I think they are probably more than 10,000 ordained monks and nuns and lay practitioners there following him and several other Khenpos and study Buddhism and do very diligent Buddhism practice with very strict precepts. So Khenpo Sodargye translated and wrote many books, more than 100 books, and this is just a subset of his teaching. You can see this is the book we're going to study today, and I plan to give the teaching every month. Once a month for the next few months. So he has published in a different kind of language. I don't know, this is German maybe, and Korean here, and mostly Chinese. So he has a huge cohort of followers. As one of the Tibetan master, whose name is Dzogchen Rinpoche, he said, with his reputation and his followers, if he had the slightest mind to be corrupted, he could. But as far as until now, nobody heard anything bad about him. So he kept his monk precepts very pure, very strictly, and so also that is one reason why we're following him and follow his teaching and follow his examples. He's such a great master and always teach us, just learn, meditate, and practice. Nothing else is important, just these three things. That's what a Buddhist follower should do, and that is what the monks should be doing. So so very well achieved, very well scholar, and also very well respected. So, okay, now let's go to the teaching. So, so first question is, where do all of our sufferings come from? So, and I'd like to hear from the audience to see what people think. Well, we all have some sort of sufferings, right? Where do you think your suffering is from? And you can type in the chat box and see. Just choose A, B, C, D, and E, and F, G, or none. Nobody, everybody's so happy, no suffering. Yeah. Do you think your suffering come from your family? F, all of the above. Okay. Oh, we have 2 F's. F is all of the above, meaning like our suffering come from our family, from kids, spouse, in-laws, especially teenage kids, right? And from work. And sometimes work is too stressful, and sometimes your colleague give you a hard time, and sometimes just too much work, and it seems like endless. From friends, I myself have friends like that, even though she is also a Buddhist practitioner, but I have to deal with, she complains to me, so I just listen, and so I have to deal with her complaining about her life. So I don't feel stressed by that, but I see her suffering. So from the surroundings, we always think, people are so stupid. Yeah, they do things that they're not supposed to do, and they lie, or they steal, they take advantage of other people, all those our environment. And some people don't care about the environment and do very kind of wasteful behaviors, and do not have no idea for environmental protection, all that. And sometimes from our own inner insecurity. So we always have all sorts of worries, like what if I lose my job, and how do I deal if my kids get into trouble? How do I deal with that? How do I talk with them for their problems? And how would people look at me if I do this or if I say that? All this I kind of inner insecurities, because if we're confident enough, we just go out and talk, right? But most of the time we are not sure. So yes, all these are sufferings, and can be all the causes. And I'm surprised nobody said choose G, because none of the above. I may say that G maybe is the right answer. Let's see. So why do we choose this sutra? So so why Diamond Sutra? Why not something else? And that there are so many Buddhism sutras that tell us, get rid of the attachment, but this one is in particular. So I'm going to read this. This is a preface written by Khenpo Sodargye in this book. This book I have here. Yeah. So he says, many people fail to understand that all the sufferings come from various attachments. How to dispel this attachment? The Buddhadharma offers the most supreme peace instructions and the skillful means for this. With the Buddhadharma, even though attachment remains, it is possible to get over difficulties more easily without going to extremes. Then the sky becomes more open and vast. So all the sufferings, indeed, actually, no matter from parents, from kids, from surroundings, from work, all this, the ultimate reason is actually attachment, because we have this attachment about me, how people will judge me, how should I set up my own image in front of other people, and since we have this me, then we have mine, right? And how do I maintain my, good life, and or do all those things? These are all attachments, because attached to me and attached to mine. So this is the ultimate reason for all the sufferings, including all the above that we listed in the last slide. So this is the ultimate reason. But if we understand the reason, and then we want to find a way to get rid of those attachments, how? So this comes the very useful, and it says skillful means. This is a special term, especially for Tibetan Buddhism. We have many skillful means for doing practices like this to cut off the attachment. So there are more benefits of study this sutra. One is to clarify our confusion. And if I don't know everybody's background here, but I assume you have a little bit of the Buddhism idea. So Buddhism always teaches us all phenomena are emptiness in nature, right? We all heard that. Buddhism think all phenomena are emptiness in nature. So if everything is emptiness, like there's no real me, that means I can do anything I want. Is that right? So then we can do all sorts of bad things without any consequence if it's emptiness in nature. So is that right? So that is one of the very commonly seen confusion when people study Buddhism. And the other one is the Buddha. On the one side, he teaches people about the wisdom of emptiness. But on the other side, he also said, it is better to have attachment as gigantic as Mountain Meru to existence than attachment as tiny as a mustard seed to non-existence. So what does this mean? He is the Buddha trying to encourage people to actually have attachment and then not to have attachment at all. So this is another question people often ask. So what does it mean? So is the Buddha teaching something very conflicting? Is that right? Now we'll know after we study. We'll know it's all very unified. It's not conflicting at all. So this sutra actually indeed teaches us how to reconcile these views, and because they are different levels and they are not really conflicting to each other, and then during the course, the ultimate purpose of this sutra is to teach us how to destroy the attachment without being led astray. Because when we destroy the attachment, we study emptiness, we practice emptiness, and then we still want to hold to the law of karma, cause and consequence, because without that, the emptiness is just like really emptiness talk. So this is the more benefits of study Diamond Sutra. So I like this passage here, so I copied it from the book. So we need to follow two different kinds of actions before and after we realize the emptiness. When you realize emptiness, that means you are enlightened. You have witnessed the emptiness actually experienced by yourself. So how do we destroy attachment appropriately without being led astray? The Diamond Cutter Sutra explains that although at the ultimate level, nothing exists, and even the concepts of vice and virtue are indeed just another attachment. Nevertheless, at the conventional level, all phenomena still appear. And in that dreamlike illusory reality, the law of cause and effect is inherent. So if we do not want to suffer at the relative level, we have to give up vice and adopt virtue. So before recognizing the latter of mind, we must hold on to things that are virtuous and right, like a boat. They can help us cross a river. So until we reach the other side, at the shore, it makes no sense to give them up. Otherwise, if we throw away the boat in the middle of the river, what is going to happen? The answer is obvious. So this is a kind of summary for the first, for the why we want to study this. And to pay attention, there is this conventional level and then there is this ultimate level somewhere. I think we're going to talk about it more. So so about this sutra itself, it was translated into Chinese by the famous translator Kumarajiva into Chinese in about 400 AD. It's been a very popular sutra in China and inspired and enlightened a lot of people. And it has a pivotal position in Tibetan Buddhism also. Tibetan Buddhism is slightly different from Han Chinese Buddhism. And in the Tibetan tradition, there is a habit for people to recite this sutra 100 times for the family members or relatives who passed away within the first 49 days when they pass away, because that is the best time to help them to go to the other life. So reciting this sutra accumulates a huge amount of merits. And then another sutra to be recited is a liberation sutra. So reciting these two sutras 100 times each will ensure that that person to be liberated. So Khenpo also explained here that he did not intend to explain this sutra in the great perfection way or the Mahamudra view. He just explained it in more like a Sutrayana view. Sutrayana means like in the exoteric teaching. So everything is public and everybody can follow. And the Tantrayana on the other side can only be taught to the qualified disciples. So that way it's more called a secret branch. So he wanted to do more public teaching. So the text is mainly based in Kumarajiva's translation, but he also refers to other people's translation. The entire text is divided into 32 chapters, outlined by Crown Prince Zhaoming in Ming Dynasty. So we will also follow the same structure. So first, in Tibetan teaching has always been following a specific structure. So we always have the initial virtual, the middle virtual, and then the ending virtual. So usually in the initial virtual, explains the title and the homage sentences and so on. In the middle, explain the text, and in the end, just for dedication of merits. So first we'll explain the title. The title is diamond. Diamond has a special meaning here. In Sanskrit, it's called Vajra. And Vajra per se is a kind of a weapon held by Indra. Indra is a lord of heavens in Buddhism sutras. The characteristics of Vajra is that it's indestructible, but it's so powerful that it can destroy a mountain and destroy everything. Overall, it can destroy everything, but it cannot be destroyed by everything. So this is the letter of the Vajra. So the meaning here is it's for emptiness of Prajna. Prajna means wisdom. Emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness is similar to Vajra, because the emptiness wisdom can destroy all wrong views, and yet itself cannot be destroyed by any kind of wrong views. So this is what the diamond or Vajra means. So the entire full title is called Vajrakata, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. So in the Sanskrit, it's Vajra Chatvika Prajna Paramita Sutra, and its literal translation from Sanskrit to English here Prajna Paramita means transcendent wisdom. Transcendent wisdom means prajna, and then paramita means action to perfection, action, and the transcendent action. So entire sutra contains the view and how we set up the view, and because it's paramita, it's action. So and the practice, including also the practice, and also actually in the end it talks about the fruition, means the attain the Buddhahood. So so now that's the title explanation. Now we go to chapter 1. Chapter 1 talks about the subtitle is the cause of this teaching. So we all know this little cute sentence says, "Thus have I heard," right? So once the Bhagavan was dwelling in Shravasti at the Jeta grove of the Anatta Pindala garden, together with the great Sangha of 1,250 monks. So this short sentence actually explains the 5 perfections. So the perfect place, which is in this garden in Shravasti city, and then the perfect time is sometime after the Buddha Shakyamuni reached his Buddhahood. Why? Because if we look at this sentence, thus have I heard, who is this I? And this is the venerable Ananda, because all the sutras is compiled by the Buddha's permission through Ananda, because he has the best memory. So this is Ananda said, thus have I heard that when Ananda followed the Buddha, he was already enlightened. So the monks, 1250 fully ordained monks, and in some versions it also says not only monks but also some bodhisattvas. So this is a Mahayana Sutra, not only a basic vehicle sutra. And the perfect teaching is the profound meaning explained in this sutra, and the perfect teacher is the Buddha himself. And so the next paragraph, so just describing how the, okay, let's read it first. Then when it was time to eat, the Bhagavan put on his robe, held his bowl, and entered the great city of Shravasti to request food. In the city, after begging for food door to door, the Buddha returned. After having his meal, he put away his robe and the bowl, washed his feet, and sat on his throne. So here you can see the Buddha actually behaved like very solemnly. Khenpo also explains the appearance of monks is quite important. If you look, talents still nowadays keep the same tradition, go out for begging for food, like collecting alms. So pretty much the monks line up and barefoot and just walk very in a very majestic way. You got to be like, if you really watch the walk, and they have that natural air that making people want to believe in them. So it's a proper behave, set up the example by the Buddha himself. So the followers just follow the Buddha. And so here's the question: why did the Buddha go to request food? Khenpo explained that Buddha himself does not need to eat, because Buddha's body is very special. But Buddha, according to Mahayana teaching, Buddha just appears in this world, give us the teaching, pointed the way for liberation, for cut off all the attachment, and then he does not have all those worldly need to eat. There are stories behind that, because once Buddha in a raining season, and the Buddha was worried that Ananda would get hungry and didn't have food. So he gave Ananda 1 grain of wheat, and Ananda ate it, and he didn't feel hungry for 7 days. So Buddha doesn't if Buddha want to do it for himself, he can easily do it for himself. He doesn't need to go out to beg for food. So, but why does he do that? And this is the Buddha show a convenient skill to help us beings to accumulate merits. Because whatever we offer to the Buddha, because he's the Buddha, so we will accumulate huge amount of merits that help us. Buddha doesn't need help. Buddha doesn't need food. So also it's for Buddha to give Dharma teachings. So so that is the beginning. And then this comes the fun part. Chapter 2, Subhuti start to ask questions, right? So at that time in the assembly, the elder Subhuti rose from his seat, bowed his right shoulder, knelt down on the ground with his right knee, folded his palms together, and respectfully asked the Buddha, "How wondrous, Bhagavan! The Tathagata has taken good care of all bodhisattvas and has counseled all the bodhisattvas." So, so we know the questioner is Subhuti. He first paid homage to the Buddha with his 3 doors, knelt down and bowed his right shoulder, knelt down and showed his respectful gesture because he folded his palms. And all those I respectful 3 doors, meaning like a mind, speech, and the body. So, and in Xuanzang's version, there is also words like describing that he circumambulating clockwise 3 times around the Buddha. Clockwise is important because it actually accumulates merits. And Khenpo explained all those homage tradition actually comes from the royal court of ancient India. So Subhuti, the questioner, who was the foremost disciple for understanding emptiness for the Buddha. You know, Buddha has a whole bunch of very famous disciples, and Subhuti is the one foremost in understanding emptiness. So he's the questioner also. So Tathagata is another title of the Buddha, means that's come and that's come. So this is this passage over here. And then the real question is where to settle the mind. So Subhuti continued to ask, Bhagavan, how should a son or daughter of noble qualities who have given rise to the perfect unsurpassable bodhicitta abide? How to subjugate the mind? The Buddha said, good, oh Subhuti, it is exactly as you have said. The Tathagata has taken good care of all the bodhisattvas and has well counseled all the bodhisattvas. Listen attentively as I explain to you in what way a son or daughter of good qualities who has given rise to the perfect unsurpassable bodhicitta must settle and subconjugate the mind. Thus shall I do, Bhagavan. I will love to listen to you with joy. So the last one was Subhuti's answer. So basically the Buddha like listened to Subhuti and repeated the question because he showed actually he also listened very attentively, and he also asked Subhuti to listen attentively. So so here the question is concerns all the contents of the 3 parts of great vehicle, which is the ground. It's how to abide after you generate, how to how you abide your mind. And the second one is how the path, how you practice the 6 parameters, because in the other version also include the practice. And then how you finally achieve the fruition to train the mind to attain Buddhahood, how to subjugate the mind. So in Subhudi's question, there are three parts, or the ground, path, and the fruition are all included here. So, okay, chapter 3. Now, after the question is asked, now is Buddha's turn to answer. So, chapter 3, the title, subtitle is the Genuine Great Vehicle. The Buddha told Subhuti, this is how great bodhisattvas subjugate the mind. For all the sentient beings of different classifications, born from eggs, from wombs, from moisture, spontaneously, with form, without form, with perception, without perception, with lighter perception, nor non-perception, I will liberate them all to enter non-abiding nirvana. Even though numerous, countless, and limitless sentient beings are liberated in this way, ultimately there is no sentient being that is liberated. Okay, here the Buddha's answer is divided into two parts, two sentences, basically. The first sentence, from here to liberate all the beings, right? Liberate them all to enter non-abiding nirvana. The second sentence is this second half. Even though all these beings are liberated, but ultimately there is no beings that is liberated. So what does this mean? Are these conflicting? No. Because in the first sentence, the Buddha actually describes the conventional bodhicitta. So, so it's just like they are beings to be liberated. So I'm going to make this aspiration to liberate them all. And in order to liberate them all, I myself need to liberate myself first, right? To attain unsurpassable enlightenment. So that is the conventional level of the truth, because in the conventional level, there are beings. There is Buddha who is liberating the beings. There are bodhisattvas, and all these are existing. But the second sentence explains the ultimate bodhicitta, which is at the ultimate level. So Buddhism has usually, we divide the entire truth into two parts. One is conventional truth, one is relative, conventional truth, which is also called relative truth, and the other one is called the ultimate truth. So the relative truth or conventional truth is all this physical world that we can perceive with our conceptual thoughts and analyze with our conceptual thoughts. So all this ultimate truth, it's beyond our conceptual thoughts. It's only the enlightened people can experience it. It's not describable by words or language, but it can be experienced. So the second sentence actually explains the ultimate bodhicitta, which can be understood through the three spheres that are empty of true essence. Okay, this is a little bit difficult to understand. Actor, receiver, and action. Just like imagine when we make offerings to, let's say, a beggar. So I'm going to give like $10 to the beggar. So I am the actor, and the beggar is the receiver, and the action of giving out is the action, right? So all these three things in the ultimate level, they are all empty in nature. There's no essential essence. So, so that's why the bodhisattvas who are able to liberate beings do not inherently exist. The sentient beings do not inherently exist either, and the action of liberation does not exist either. This is the same idea. So at the ultimate level, all these beings are non-existent because there is no solid beings or constant beings. But in the conventional level or in the relative level, we are real here, okay? So this is how the Buddhism actually view the entire world, like in this way. So so comparing the conventional bodhicitta versus ultimate bodhicitta, these are the two levels, conventional level and the ultimate level. And the conventional bodhicitta is just still consider they're all beings here and that they are living in the samsara, in the cyclic existence, and they need to be liberated. And then when we already learned some Buddhism, we know this is not a good place to be, and because we always have all sorts of sufferings. So we want to help them to realize the emptiness and get them over to attain non-abiding nirvana. So this is called conventional bodhicitta. So in contrast, what is the ultimate bodhicitta? So the actually definition is here copied. Although numerous, countless, and limitless sentient beings are liberated in this way, ultimately there's no sentient beings that is liberated. Only when such understanding arises can one become a bodhisattva in the real sense. So if we make our aspiration to liberate beings, that is conventional bodhicitta, because we think they are beings, we're trying to help them. But when a person actually realizes these beings are non-existent, and even though they are liberated, there is no actually sentient beings that is liberated. When they realize that, that means they have realized emptiness and they have been enlightened. But in the enlightened mind, there is no such beings exist. So only when then the bodhisattvas are real bodhisattvas, because they have realized the emptiness. So that's what it means. So in the Cutter Sutra, it says, wisdom is the reason for not dwelling in the three realms. Compassion is the reason for not abiding in nirvana. So for arhats or for basic vehicles, the enlightened people, they want to get out of the samsara. They don't want to come back in this cyclic existence because it's full of suffering. But for bodhisattvas, because they have realized emptiness, and then because of their aspiration of bodhicitta, they realize just about they realize the emptiness. They realize that, wait a minute, I aspire to also help all other sentient beings to be liberated. So I must stay here to help them. I cannot just go directly to the nirvana. So for that reason, they are kind of dwelling in the two realms, in the two truths, right? In the ultimate world, or also in the conventional world. So ultimately, this I realize this is not really quite easy to understand, but ultimately conventional truth would be the appearance that includes a duality of apprehender and apprehended, like I try to understand with my conception source, and there is this physical world I'm trying to understand. Okay, this is the conventional truth level. But in the ultimate truth level, all these are free from any characteristics, and there's no duality. There's no me or the physical world to be understand. Okay, to put it in a simple way. So when we compare the Subhudi's question answered in the two kinds of bodhicitta, in the two levels. Okay, one is in the conventional level, one is the ultimate level. Remember, his question is how to abide, how to practice, and how to tame one's mind. So at the conventional level, how to abide means we want to give rise to conventional bodhicitta. That's how we abide our mind. And then in the practice, we want to liberate all sentient beings. And in the end, the fruition, we want to generate bodhicitta at all the time and at all the places. But at the ultimate level, this means if one has ultimate bodhicitta, how to abide? you abide with no beings to be liberated and no one to liberate them. Okay, because there is no such real thing in that level. And then in the practice, we want to abide in this kind of status. There's no being, there's no me, there is no this. Everything is just emptiness in natural. And how do you tame your mind in the ultimate bodhicitta? You just dissolve all the conceptual thoughts of clinging to the intrinsic existence of all phenomena into Dhammadhatu. Dhammadhatu is a word you can basically understand it as basic space. So think about the space. Space can accommodate anything, everything, and it does not have its own characteristics. Okay, that's the Dhammadhatu. So we always have lots of conceptual thoughts. That's why we are over here at the conventional level, and we're trying to understand all the science, everything, try to understand the physical world, the biology, all those, all at the relative truth level. But in the ultimate truth level, everything is emptiness in natural. All right, and I have my last slide. So why is that the bodhisattvas liberate beings at the conventional level, but no beings are liberated at the ultimate level? Here's what it says. Why is that, Subhuti? If a bodhisattva has the idea of the characteristics of a self, the characteristic of a person, the characteristic of a sentient being, and the characteristic of a living being, this bodhisattva is not a bodhisattva in the real sense. This is Buddha's further explanation about what is a real bodhisattva in the real sense. So a bodhisattva must have realized the emptiness. But if he did not realize the emptiness, he would always have the idea of a self, have idea of a person and a sentient beings and a living being. So here the translation is called characteristics. And sometimes the translation of the same word would use the perception. We can also use the idea. These two words, Chinese word, one is this word over here versus this word. You can see this second word has additional part at the bottom. This additional part means mind. So this is the appearance. This is the appearance in the mind. But these two words in ancient Chinese are exchangeable. So there are all these different definition of characteristic of a self, meaning an existence, like anything, not just me, or we can say a table, a bottle, all that. An existence relies on the same single continuum. So this table may look the same today and tomorrow. It's a self. We call it as self. And the characteristic of a person, and this means the person's living in this physical world with the defiled body aggregates. It's like human beings, a person. Characteristic of sentient beings, like so this lifetime I may be a human being, next lifetime I could be a dog, a cat, or even a bug. So this is the cyclic existence. So sentient beings taking rebirth in the samsara, and there's this continuum going on. So that's the characteristic of sentient beings, and all driven by karma, of course. And then characteristics of a living being. So this is the one continuous lifespan from the same reaping effort effect. So the conclusion here in this little passage is that if a person or a bodhisattva believes that these four characteristics intrinsically exist, then he is not a bodhisattva in real sense. And in fact, if we have this idea of those different characteristics, then we have generated great obstacle on the path to liberation for ourselves. So this entire Diamond Sutra talks about eliminating attachment towards all this intrinsic existence. So it will give more analysis based on conventional truths versus the ultimate truth in the later chapters. So I think we have a little time. So we have book study for Tibetan Buddhism. This is based on words of my perfect teacher, which will be every Sunday, 6 o'clock on Zoom. We have a meditation group hosted by Christina, which the information is also on the same meetup group. So we have additional 101 study group every Saturday. No, this is the other one. Well, this is series. Every Saturday, our series hosted by different people about different topics. And so if you have any other questions that you want to ask or anything you think the Buddhism idea can help you go through your own difficulties, then you're welcome to sign up for our Q&A sessions, which is every Friday evening, I think. It's on the same meetup group. There's more details. Thank you very much.